Um, Here again, and Steve, really am glad that you're here as part of a representative, not just as a church, but as a community of churches. Are there any specific qualifications to be a ministry leader in your community? So, Chris, you can talk about the nominational, your congregational standards, but even for you, if you want to talk about ordination standards and leadership in that would be fine. So what specific qualifications do you have for leadership?
I think it's, in the past I'm not sure exactly how it happened. I think there is standards somewhere laid out probably in our Constitution. What it's become more so recently is moving in the area of gifts discernment.
Okay.
So if there's somebody who is particularly gifted for a certain area, identifying that person and really trying to build them up and getting them involved in that case. And I think that works. That's worked pretty well. You want somebody who is familiar. If there is a standard, it's somebody who is regularly part of the community. We're not going to pull somebody out or identify somebody who's not, hasn't been participating in months or years.
So you're kind of moving away from that. Well, that will get them more involved again.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's and I love the idea of gifts. It's getting people that are more passionate about what it is we're about. So and the only downside I see to some of the and it plays into our structure. We've named some of the different areas of discipleship and things like that, but there's a tendency of trying to, or a tendency where we end up just focusing on that area. Well, I'm a discipleship guy, and instead of the holistic, this is the whole mission.
Right.
But gifts is kind of the way that we're moving.
You're moving toward giftedness. Okay, so you're trying to do that. How about you, Steve?
And we would recommend the giftedness process for congregations, but interestingly, what I was actually thinking about last night is for us as a community, we really talk about priesthood of all believers, and what I just said before is that really a person in a congregation can do just about everything that a credentialed leader can do. The interesting thing that's happening with Mennonite Church context is as a way of dealing with what I would say are divergent and diverse viewpoints, we're starting to be really specific about how to meet the credentialing process.
Okay.
And the steps that you need to do and lifestyle commitments that you need to maintain.
Oh, okay.
So that's I'd say that's a response to a community that is postmodernizing or diversifying, recognizing that our congregations are increasingly at different places, but that we are really going to say, okay, we're going to need to focus on leadership to maintain identity and to maintain sort of a similar teaching posture.
Right.
So this is all new. I think we're probably Franconia Conference and Eastern District. Franconia, Chris's conference is a little more lax than Franconia. And Franconia and Pacific Southwest, which is LA based, many people would say they're the most urbanized conferences for a variety of reasons. Franconia is a Philadelphia suburban based and Pacific Southwest is Los Angeles based, but we're the only conferences that have really strict requirements at this point about ordination and credential.
What are some of the lifestyle commitments that you hold up to? Because I know Mennonites have been talking about Mennonite identity for years and years and years. So what are some of the things that you hold up to?
The lifestyle related issues are interestingly about stewardship. And I don't know if Eastern District talks about this, but we actually have a document that we have to look at in the credentialing process about how we use financial resources, about sexuality, and then maintaining a position about teaching in relationship to nonviolence. So those are the lifestyle expectations. The nonviolence one has less clarification and sort of pointed lifestyle expectation, but the stewardship and sexuality positions are pretty strong.
Really, you're not in a peace church. Your nonviolence is not as defined as the others.
It's not as defined because I think there's more ambiguity in how that's lived out.
Okay. So
I mean, sure, you would say, but the expectation technically is that every person from the congregation is going to refrain from violence, refrain from participation in military action, whatever. But the actual clarification on how that plays out in all other ways isn't
you
stated.
let that conversation kind of play out. Okay, cool. And then stewardship goes right into your simplicity, the background for that. Okay.